maybe that could be the cause of the problem I'm having. So regardless, I sat there, waited 30 seconds, hit the red button, the bike turned back on. So I turned around and I said, I'm not gonna go on the track, I'm just gonna ride in the the dirt parking lot. So I rode around the dirt parking lot and the bike stayed on for like 30 seconds and then it shut off again. So I had to push it all the way back to the truck, and at that point I was done. It was a wrap. Was thoroughly frustrated, and I was just unhappy with my Varg, and I was considering like maybe I made the wrong choice and even trying the bike out. I mean, I have waited 2 years, so it's very disheartening to wait 2 years, and then really when you have a few really good days on the bike, and then the third day, it doesn't work. I mean, I'm not trying to be a wimp, but I was pissed. Today we're gonna take the Stark Varg out on the track here at Glen Helen. This is what it looks like. It's dirty. We put it together in the garage. It's running great. I will tell you the bike is extremely fast. You gotta be careful of the screen overheating on the handlebar mount. But besides that, the bike works great. I swapped out the Pirellis and I put on a pair of Dunlop tires. Put some grip on the side of the bike because you definitely need the grip to stay on the bike because it accelerates like a rocket. But that's it. Let's take it out for a ride and let me know what you think. See you out there. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Stark Varg, which I got delivered to me last week. I initially ordered the bike December 15th of 2021, so I was happy to finally get the bike. Today is October 21st of 2023. I got the bike about 6 days ago. I was so excited to get it. It finally came, took it out for a ride. Let's go back. Day one, got the bike, unboxed it, put it together. You know, I ordered the alpha version. It comes red. Added my own style to it, my own plastics. I went gray in the back, red fender. Did my own decals. I got these decals from Australia, and there's our Flow State Moto sticker for the YouTube page. I just decked it out to make it my own, a little different from everyone else's, but you know, it is what it is. So, as you have probably seen in a prior video, or maybe this video, I don't know, I took the bike out to Oxnard and did some trail riding. Bike was great. I was very nervous about the power delivery because I typically ride a Works Edition Honda Sierra 450 that's tricked out to the max. So it's got nice power, but electric is totally different. The power delivery is much like a Tesla. I mean, it's kind of smooth in the beginning, and then when you give it that throttle, it picks up quickly and hard. A lot of G-forces. The good thing is the tire doesn't spin. It sticks to the ground. It's like super traction control. So that's great about the bike. I really like that. But again, back to my day one of riding, I just basically trail rode at 30 horsepower just to get used to the bike, the way the chassis works. Half the chassis is the battery pack right here. I did some turns and I didn't do any jumps because I was very nervous. I didn't know how the rear wheel would react, or the brakes would react in the air as far as the gyro of the bike, nose down or nose up too high. So I took it real easy. By the end of the day, I did hit a few small jumps. I noticed that the bike reacted quickly if you gave it extra throttle, a blip of throttle in the air. The back end dropped fast, so you have to be on top of that. You've got to get connected to your throttle hand immediately. Because the bike is extremely sensitive to throttle adjustment, especially in the air. So I will say, after day one of riding, I realized that I had to be on top of my technique. Not having a clutch, not having a shifter, freed up my brain to work on getting my body into the right position, which essentially made it easier for me to ride. But it's hard to get out of that rhythm of having a shifter, of having a clutch. I found myself going through a turn and reaching for the clutch or shifting up when I'm about to hit a straightaway. My body was just in that motion. It was looking for that because I've been doing that all my life. So this is a little bit different. You will get used to it. It does take time. And again, you get to use all that energy that you would put towards the clutch, towards the shifter, towards working on your form to ride better and faster and smoother, which is what you want to do anyway. It makes it easier when you can ride with good form. You save energy, you can ride longer. Okay, so enough of that. Back to the bike. So day two, I took the bike out to Glen Helen in San Bernardino. I rode their vet track. They call it the Arroyo track. The track was great. It's a great day for the track. There wasn't too many riders there. I had decided that it was time for me to start jumping the bike. I got the bike out on the track. I took one easy lap again at 30 horsepower with 55 on the regenerative braking, which is like our 450s have built-in, can't think of the name of it, engine braking. So I had the bike was set to 55 for that. Works really well. Feels like a 450 engine braking, stops the bike automatically. Again, I had it on 30 horsepower. So I made a lap around the track. I felt comfortable real quick. The suspension's good. It's a little on the stiff side, which, it's brand new. It's got to break in. That's fine. So I came in. Actually, I didn't come in. While riding, my second lap, I hit the selector right here on the bar, and I put it into map mode 2, which I had set at 50 horsepower. Again, 55 on the regenerative braking. I don't know how you say that, but the bike was a rocket. I'll tell you that. It got around that track so fast. The bike loves to turn. It loves for you to lay it over, stick it in the rut, and come out on the gas hard. I mean, hard on the gas on the electric bike, it's still smooth. The throttle relays that power, all that torque down to the rear tire, almost like it doesn't slip, like it has a traction control. I mean, on my 450, it's not that. It's a little bit more abrupt. So this made it easier to ride fast and aggressive in and out of the turns. Braking was nice. I have I have the foot brake. I don't have the rear hand brake. I'm going to stick with the foot brake for now because that's what I'm accustomed to. I don't want to have too many things I'm thinking about. No shifter, no clutch, hand brake up here. Let's stick with as much motocross style as I can for my own safety. Anyway, so riding the bike on the track. The bike's fast. I'm not going to lie. And if you are focusing on being faster, if you're focusing on upping your game by practicing your technique, body position, breathing, leg out, looking ahead, this is the bike to do it, in my opinion. It'll get you around the track fast. It'll get you to even out your flow so you can feel the track. You can also hear everything. I heard everything and everyone besides my engine. I don't have an engine. I guess it's a generator. But regardless of that, I heard the chain slapping. I heard the tires on the ground. I heard dirt moving. I heard rocks moving. One time I came into a turn, a tight right hand, and there was a good sized rock. And I leaned it over. I was using the rock as my gauge to make my turn. I leaned it over and the rock folded the foot peg up into the side of the bike. Bang! And I heard it. I was like, oh my God, I got a flat tire. I looked back. Nothing was wrong with the bike, but I heard that. I typically don't hear those type of things on my 450. I hear the engine over everything. So that takes a little getting used to, but once you get used to it, you start to hear a little bit of the engine. You start to hear that whizzing sound that electric motors make, almost like an RC car. I mean, it's kind of cool, right? But I will say this. I almost got into a couple good crashes on this bike due to trying to pass other riders. Riders don't hear me. They do not hear this bike at all. So if you're riding with someone who's on a 450 or 250 or anything that's got an engine in it, besides a bicycle, they're not going to hear you coming to pass them. So you have to be very mindful. You have to stay very aware. You have to try to read what the other rider's going to do ahead of time. Because I'm going to tell you, I must have passed 100 people on the track because the bike, it can close a gap. Let's say you're riding with someone and they are maybe 30 yards in front of you, 20 yards in front of you. So they go around the turn before you do, and then here you come around the turn. If you both end up on the straightaway, them at the other end about to make the next turn, you coming out of the turn here, you can close that distance up extremely fast on an electric bike. I mean, it's literally like a rocket ship, right? So you have to squeeze the bike, because if you open that throttle halfway, 3/4, it's boom, right on top of the other rider. I mean, it's great. It's blazing fast. I will say that the brakes work great. The Brembo, they're nice. They're a little bit soft, which makes it smooth when you're trying to come into a turn and do your transition from braking to smooth acceleration out. It's great for that, because I think if you had like a Honda Nissan brake, it would cause the tires to lock up and maybe slide. So the Brembo is great because it's a little softer, a little more gradual, and that's what you need to kind of stay smooth and mix that smooth braking, finish my braking, and begin to apply my roll on my throttle. I mean, those two things, smooth braking and a good torquey traction hooking up rotation of the throttle, that just makes you a rocket in the turn. So again, it's a great bike performance wise. It just takes us getting used to it. It takes me getting used to it. All right, so how long could I ride on a full charge? 100% charge off the truck. And I consider myself a fast, intermediate, maybe sometimes expert splash rider. I don't know. But I was on the gas. Like I said, I passed about 100 people on Thursday at Glen Helen Vet Track. Okay. The bike, my first ride out, I did a 17-minute moto. Might have been, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11 laps. I don't really keep track of that, but it's about 17-minute moto. The bike tells you exactly how long you rode the bike from start to finish, from taking it off the stand and riding it to riding, putting it back on the stand. It will tell you, it records it in the data on the phone. It tells you how long you rode. Okay, it even draws a map of what you rode. And if your phone connects to the Wi-Fi, it shows you on Google Maps the track and the path you went. So you can zoom in and you can see the track. And that's just awesome. But anyway, so on my first ride out at 100%, 17 minutes, pretty fast, pretty hard, hitting all the jumps, because I was comfortable at that point, the bike went down to 71%. So I used 29% of the battery hitting those laps, okay? I took it back to the truck and I purchased a Honda 3200i generator. I think it's called the EU 3200i generator. Really quiet, expensive generator. So try to find it used if you can. But I threw that on the bike with the charger that's built into the stand down here, which makes the stand extremely heavy. I mean, that stand has got to weigh 60 pounds. The bike is heavy, is heavy, is heavy. It's like a tank. I'll say that, and I'll jump back to the battery. It's heavy on the stand. It's heavy to lift up. It's heavy to put in the truck. But when you ride that bike, this bike feels lighter than a 125. I mean, I don't know how that worked, how that happened, but there's something way they designed the bike and the weight down low. This bike is so flickable in the air. It leans better than any 450 or 250. It's just super light in motion. So lift weights, bro. Just lift weights because you're gonna need it to move this bike around if you're not riding it. You're gonna need it to move that stand around if someone isn't there to help you, because it's all together, it's heavy. Together it's heavy. On the other hand, at the end of the riding day, my day 2, I have a nice wide stand to load my bike, and I just put it on mode 1, which was 30 horsepower, nice and smooth, nice and gentle, no wheel spin, and I rode the bike up the ramp right into the truck. So that's how I did it. I can imagine pushing that beast up the ramp after a long day of riding. I mean, I might have to ask 5 people to help me, but whatever. Back to the battery. So first moto, 17-minute moto, from 100 to 71%. Second moto, again, another 17 minutes. The battery went down a little quicker this time. It went from, actually what I did is I threw it on the generator, I said, and I charged it between my first and second moto. I charged it back to 85%. So, and that took from 70% to 85, which is 15% increase in the battery. Using the generator, that took 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, I got 15% more battery for my second moto. So I went out second moto at 85%, 17 minutes. Funny thing, the battery drained all the way down to 52%. So what is that? That's 28%. It went down 28%. So, but I will say I was riding a little faster, a little harder, because I was used to the bike and we were getting along very well, right? We're getting along very well. Hitting all the jumps and just on the gas. I was trying to push it a little harder to see what the bike, where the weak spots were as far as driving into a turn, driving out of a turn, see if I could carve tight or if I could sweep wide. You know, I was just trying to test the bike out because I love this track, the Glen Helen Vet track. It's great to get warmed up on a new bike or just get your skills together, right? So again, first ride from 100 to 71%. Second ride, a charge in between first moto, second moto, from 85% to about 52%. Okay, so that's 28% drop. Now, so I didn't go back to the truck. I pulled over under a tree, took a break, watched some other riders spin laps, and then I turned the bike off, at least shifted into neutral by using the selector here. Actually, the bike goes into neutral automatically when you're not riding it after like a minute, okay? But anyway, so I sat under the tree, it rested for maybe 5-10 minutes. Then I went out for my last moto, which was supposed to only be 3 laps, just a 3-lap cool down. But the crazy thing is I got out there and 1, 2, 3 laps, I was having such a good time on this bike because it's a blast to ride it, that I ended up doing like 8 more laps. Okay, so that moto ended up being another 17, 18 minute-ish moto. I was just hauling butt, but I took the battery all the way down to 27%. 27%. So I got 3 motos in with 1 charge in the middle. I brought it up from what I say, 70 to 85% with a charge in the middle with my generator. Generator's quiet, it takes gas. So no matter what, you're hauling gas, whether it's in the bike or in a bike or in a generator, you're gonna haul gas, okay? So I had a great day on my Stark, day 2. I loved it. I was convinced that this is for me. Let's go to day 3. Because I really wanted to test my bike. I wanted to take it out to different places and ride. So I went to a track called LACR, which is up in Palmdale. Okay, a lot of big tabletops and uphill triple. I had no plans on jumping any of that on this bike this soon, but I wanted to go up there and ride because it's a little more sandy. They got a nice set of whoops, stuff like that. So the night before, to prep the bike, I washed it, lightly sprayed it with the hose, no power washing. I didn't wash any electronics. I followed the manual. Well, look at this manual, guys, for this bike. This is it. I printed it out. Look how thick that sucker is. It's 145 pages. 144 pages, I think. I mean, it's a lot of stuff to read. I read all of it from front to back, and I'm gonna tell you why. You're gonna know why in a minute. So anyway, the night before going to LACR, I cleaned the bike, got it ready, lubed my chain. I didn't bleed the forks. I usually bleed the forks when I get to the track because you need to bleed your forks. Let the air out every day, every session before the ride. You have to bleed the forks. You should do that. Anyway, so washed the bike, got it prepped for the next day of riding. I went ahead and got my charger. I opened up the little charging door here, pulled out the cable, plugged it in because you plug it in right there. Took the other AC side, the 110, plug it into my outlet, which is grounded. Bike started charging. It went into charging mode. I could see it charging here on the Stark phone that's on the handlebars, right? And it was charging. Everything was fine. I went in the house. Door was wide. Left that door open so that if it got hot, it would at least air out. I could see the bike from the house, right? It took, I don't know, again, 3-4 hours to get a full charge. At least I was assuming it did. So 3-4 hours later, I come out. I just unplug it. I make sure the bike's turned off. The phone is dim, so I can't see what it says. Well, actually, the phone is on. I did see what it said. It said 95%. For some reason, the bike only charged up to 95%. It didn't do 100% charge. And I went in to the app in the phone, and I did check the charge settings, and it is on the default that it came with, which was like 8 amps. 8 amps for charging, which is, I guess, where they set it default when you get it. I don't know. But I left it default, all right? So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, well, 95%, I can work with that. But something said to me, start the bike. Try to start the bike once before you load it up into the truck to go riding today. So I went over and I pressed the red button, and the red light came on, and the red light came on. It just kept blinking, blink, 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 blink. I mean, it would not stop. I sat here for like 5 minutes. It just kept blinking. The bike would not allow me to change any mode. It would not allow me to, I hold the red button down, it would stay blinking. The bike wouldn't shut off, it wouldn't do anything. Nothing was responding. The bike would not respond. And I was like, when you spend $13,000 on a bike, you expect it to all work, right? Day 1, it was great. Day 2, it was awesome. Day 3, I expected to have another awesome day, but that's not what this bad boy had in mind for me. So anyway, very frustrated. I had to sit here and just catch my breath to figure out what I was going to do to get this thing running, because I wanted to ride. I mean, that's why I bought the bike. That's why you're going to buy the bike, or why you have already bought the bike, or you're waiting on the bike. I don't know. So the deal is, I hopped online and I went to one of the forums on Facebook. There's plenty of Stark Varg owner, Stark Varg. I want to have one, Stark Varg. Can someone sell me theirs? Forums on Facebook. And I found a few people who had problems similar to mine. Red light blinking, bike would not start. So I went through the information they had put there, and I took a chance and followed along with what they suggested I do to stop that red light from blinking and get that damn bike running. So what I did was I took off the shroud plastic, the seat, the side panels, and also rear fender. It all comes off in one piece. It's 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, side panel bolts, 1 on each side, and there's one center bolt underneath the rear fender. There's actually 3 bolts, two for the fender itself, because the fender's 2 pieces, the rear fender's 2 pieces, and then there's a center bolt which bolts the back fender to the underside of the seat to hold it all together. So I removed those bolts, and this all slides right off. It slides right off. One whole piece. In fact, let me show it to you. I have one here. So here we are here. This is what it looks like when you take it off. Rear fender, side number plates, the radiator shroud covers. There's no radiator up there, but that's what they call them. And then the seat is typically bolted here. It does, if you have an extra seat, you could use this extra set of plastic, bolt this together, and you would have the whole unit that you see here. But I have 2 sets. I have the red and I have the gray. So I have the gray on here right now with my custom decals. Okay, so here we go. I took all this off, and you get to see the wiring harness that's under here. You also see the top of the battery. On this side, you have an orange coupler that is power for the battery. On the other side, there's another coupler that goes in, which is, they call it the CAN bus connector. I don't know what that is, because Stark doesn't really give you any explanation in the 145-page manual as to what that is. But apparently people online have had problems, and they've tinkered around in there to get their bike working. So there's something called the CAN bus connector. And then directly under here, where your gas tank would be, under this fiberglass, I guess they call this I don't know what they call it, but under this fiberglass piece, directly under this fiberglass piece, there is what's called a VCU module, right? And as far as I know, based on Stark Futures webpage, if you go to parts and accessories and click on that, and it will take you to all the parts you can buy. VCU is there. It's like $500 for a VCU. But the VCU on the bike, which is here, I believe that's where all of the electronics fold into. Everything that runs the radiator, the engine, it's where the computer is, it's where the Bluetooth is, it's where everything that comes together. It's essentially the brain of the Stark Varg motorcycle. This device also, according to their webpage, sends data back to Stark's servers about your bike. So if it sends data back to your bike, when I email Stark, because I can't call them to get any support on my bike, they should know what my problem is by pulling up my VIN number or my name on my account, right? Because you have an account if you purchase a bike directly from Stark. They should say, you know what? Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I see your bike is jacked up right now. This is what we can do to help you. We're going to send you a new one of these, or we have an authorized dealer within your area. Take the bike to them. We'll send them the parts. They will do the change or the upgrade or the diagnostic to help you fix your bike. Now, if this was a Honda or a Suzuki or a Kawasaki, I know they're way more established. But I think that part of selling a bike is you have to create resources out there for the people who buy your product. Whether that resource is a very detailed manual that talks a little bit more about the components, better troubleshooting. Right now, the troubleshooting pretty much says contact support, contact support, contact support. Support, you can't call them. They're in Spain or in Sweden. I'm not sure where they are. They're not here, not in the US or anywhere close by, which is where we are in the US, California. So you have to email them. And email is always going to be a 24-hour turnaround, which is fine. Unfortunately, it's the weekend. It's Friday. I won't hear from them until Monday. But they've always been good to me through email support. They've always gotten back to me about questions I had about my bike before I received it. So I'm hoping the same will happen with the problem that I had yesterday on my bike, because it was very disappointing and I was very disheartened. But I never told you what happened. So anyway, so I finally got the bike to work. And what I did is on top of the VCU, there is a coupler that if you unlock, you can pull the coupler up almost like a lever, and it releases the VCU connection. And as soon as I did that, the red light stopped blinking. It's a computer, so I know at least I gotta leave it unplugged for 30 seconds. I left it unplugged for 30 seconds. I brought that down, plugged it back in, and hit the red button. Everything worked. Bike started working again. It was great. I was so happy. Started up, put it in gear, and it hit the throttle. Rear tire spun, so I knew we were in business. I shut the bike down, loaded on the truck, drove my hour plus to get up to the track. Got to the track, and guess what happened? You'll never guess. You're right. It didn't work. Well, some of it worked. Let me tell you what happened. I got dressed, went on the track. Now, mind you, this track has a lot of big jumps, right? So I get out there, riding around having a good time, and I said to myself, I'm not gonna jump these jumps because I'm not quite there yet on my new bike. If it was an old bike, I send it, but this is not that, and I don't wanna get hurt, okay? So I make a few laps, everything's cool, everything's great. Now, check this out. I'm in Palmdale, California, and the temperature is about 98, 99, 100 degrees, okay? Which, Southern California gets hot. We ride in the heat out here. That's what we do, okay? So I'm making it around 3 laps. Hit the whoops. The bike works great in the whoops. I couldn't believe how well it skimmed over the top of the whoops. And it's a good long section of whoops. It might be, 30, 40 yards. I don't know. It's long. It's nice, okay? I didn't jump any of the jumps, but what I did is, again, this is on my 3rd lap. I jumped halfway. So tabletop up ramp, tabletop down ramp, tabletop. I jumped halfway. Front tire up, slam down. Boom, no problem, okay? Because you always want to land a little bit rear tire first if you're not downsiding a jump. So I landed, boom. That's normally no problem on 450, okay? But as soon as I landed and that bike slapped down in the front, the bike shut off. It literally, the accelerator lights that showed I was in gear, I don't know what color they went. Well, they went no color. They shut off, right? I looked down at the phone. The phone's still on because the battery in the phone keeps the phone on. But the phone says the bike's in neutral. It's saying neutral because the bike is turned off, okay? So I rolled down the tabletop off the track, and I'm like, what the heck? The bike just shut off. Imagine if I had jumped the jump, right? All the way. And I'm in the air and the bike stops. We all know what happens if the engine cuts off in the air, right? We don't want to discuss that. It could be pretty bad. It could be the end of your riding or your life for that matter. But that didn't happen. Thank God. Knock on wood. Don't have any wood to knock on. But so I pulled off the track. I waited a second and hit the red button, and the bike came back on. So I was like, what the heck? This is nuts. So I said, let me drive around another lap. So I hopped back on the track. I went around again. I'm really nervous at this point. Hit another jump. Land. Bike shuts off. Bam! So it's shutting off when I have a abrupt landing to the ground. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I didn't couple the VCU connection back together tight enough. Maybe I left it a little loose and just it's wiggling loose since it is at the front of the bike where the bike is slapping down. So we went back to the truck. We took off all the plastic. I double checked all the wires and all the wiring harnesses on the front end of the bike, make sure nothing was being pinched, made sure nothing was coming loose, maybe the power connector to the battery pack itself or the CAN bus connector. I checked all that to make sure it was all tight and secure. I went back to my VCU, I unlocked it, flipped the lever, opened that back up, resealed it so it was tight and connected. I wiggled it, made sure it was connected so everything was secure. I put it all back together and put the phone back on the bike, hit the red button to start it. Bike came on. I shifted into a gear out of neutral into my mode 1. It shifted into mode 1. It was ready to go. I rolled out maybe 4 feet and the bike shut off completely again. So I was like, this is nuts. So I just sat there for a minute. Maybe it was the heat. It was 98 degrees. Maybe the bike overheated. I mean, I did hear the fan. I did hear the radiator fan come on once. We were sitting there talking, and the bike was under the pop-up shade, in the shade with us. The bike was off, but the fan and radiator did come on. So maybe the bike had overheated. I don't know. Maybe that could be the cause of the problem I'm having. So regardless, I sat there, waited 30 seconds, hit the red button, the bike turned back on. So I turned around and I said, I'm not gonna go on the track, I'm just gonna ride in the the dirt parking lot. So I rode around the dirt parking lot and the bike stayed on for like 30 seconds and then it shut off again. So I had to push it all the way back to the truck, and at that point I was done. It was a wrap. Was thoroughly frustrated, and I was just unhappy with my Varg, and I was considering like maybe I made the wrong choice and even trying the bike out. I mean, I have waited 2 years, so it's very disheartening to wait 2 years, and then really when you have a few really good days on the bike and then the third day it doesn't work. I mean, I'm not trying to be a wimp, but I was pissed. Right, I was pissed, and pissed because I really didn't know how to solve the problem, because we're dealing with electronics, we're dealing with computer, we're not dealing with an ECU, we're not dealing with valves, we're not dealing with any of the typical things you're dealing with on motocross bikes. Again, don't get me wrong, I love the technology, I enjoy the bike, but I expect it not to behave in this manner, especially since Sebastian Tortelli and all those guys have been testing it for 2 years. I mean, come on, guys. But anyway, here we are today. What else can I take about the bike? I mean, it's a great bike, except it doesn't run. Well, no, let's take that back. So that evening, I came home, unloaded the bike, parked it, went in the house, had something to drink, came back out, and I said, you know what? I'm going to see if I can recreate the problem here at the house. It's cooler here. I mean, at that time, you see, it was about 98 degrees, 100 degrees, and I was riding the bike. Back here at home, it was like 85 degrees, okay? And so I went to the garage, came out here, started the bike back up. It hit the red button, it came on. Took it off the stand, took it out there in the alley, shifted into mode 1, no problems. I rode the bike down the street, around the neighborhood for 15 minutes. I even went on sidewalks and hopped off of curbs, because the bike is super quiet. It sounds like someone's out there on a scooter, right? So my neighbors, they were cool with everything, right? I even had a guy stop me and say, "Is that electric motorcycle?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, that's so cool." I said, "Yeah." I almost said, "If it works," but I didn't. I didn't want to be rude. But regardless, I rode around for 15 minutes and the bike never shut off once. It didn't stall when I hit an abrupt landing or force on the front end from hopping off of a curb. Although hopping off a curb is nothing like flopping out of the air at 30, 40 miles an hour on a track. But I was just surprised the bike was working flawlessly again. Now here we are today, and I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to take the bike and I'm going to throw it on the charge right now, because I believe the battery should still be at 20% or so, which I'll show that to you in a second. I'm going to charge it up to 100, and I'm going to take it out tomorrow. I'm going to go back to the trails. I'm going to give it another shot. I'm wondering though if I should pull no, I'm not going to pull anything, do anything. I'm going to leave it the way it is, because it worked for me yesterday evening riding around the neighborhood. So tomorrow I'm going to take out the Oxnard and I'm going to ride the trails, and I'm going to see how the bike performs. I'm going to tell you what I did do, because I'm not one to sit and wait. I did print out my manual and I did read the entire thing. And I'm going to tell you something I found in the manual, okay? Which is, I don't know, it's just the way electric is. You know, electric runs hot. It's electricity. I did find in the manual, let me see if I can find it real quick. This is for those of you guys who live on the West Coast, like myself, or in the South, okay? I didn't circle it, I don't remember what page it's on, but it does say, it does give you some parameters here on the bike. And it says right here, recommended operation and storage ranges, 32 to 77 Fahrenheit. Now look, California, it's only 77 in December, right? And that's like after 3 o'clock. On average, we're pretty warm in Southern California. I can imagine one of these down in San Diego or up in Palmdale for that matter, where I was. But 77 degrees, I don't know. I mean, maybe Southern California isn't the place for this kind of bike, right? Maybe if you have the bike and it's turned on and it's not being ridden fast, it doesn't cool down. Maybe this needs to stay really cool, and you know, when you're going forward through space, moving the bike forward, that cool air, warm air, whatever air is hitting it, keeping it cool. So maybe that was part of the issue. I wasn't going that fast riding it yesterday on the track with the big jumps, but 2 days ago I was flying, going really fast as I could go at 55 horsepower on the Glen Helen track, the vet track. So maybe that was the issue. Maybe the bike overheated. I don't know. But what I did do was I ordered another VCU off of the Stark Future webpage, because I at least need to be aggressive and learn everything I can about this bike to try to fix these problems, because no one else is going to help me. I did call our local dealer, who I believe has 2 of these on the showroom floor, Thousand Oaks Power Sports. I think they sell KTM and some other brands out there. I know they have these bikes out there. I called the service department today and they were just like, yeah, we sell the bikes, but we're not servicing them yet. We don't have the tools. I understand it's still early, but there's no one to help. So we have to help each other through YouTube, through Facebook, through forums, spread whatever information you have. Hopefully Stark through their email support can help also, but I refuse to let a $13,000 bike sit in my garage not working. It's not going to happen. I did keep my Honda, so I'll ride that if this doesn't work, but we're going to get this bike working, or Stark needs to give me another bike, need to send me a new bike, and I'm not going to wait 2 more years. I think that would be a bad move for Stark. They're a better business than that. I know that. All right, that's it for now. Leave some comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me any experiences you have. I will do another video. I want to show you guys the generator I bought. I want to take you around the bike, show you some things on the bike, show you some of the things that I added to it, just like the grip tape, because you definitely need grip tape. I also changed the inner tubes. I took out the plastic tubes that come with the bike. I put in standard motocross tubes. I also took off the Pirellis, because that's the tire it comes with, and I put on some Dunlop MX-34s, which work great. And that's it. I mean, besides that and the decals, the bike is still stock Stark. It's a killer bike when it works. I mean, really, I was eating 450s and every other bike alive out there. I just could not believe how quickly I could beat them to a corner and out of a corner. So again, when the bike works, it's a dream. When it doesn't work, it's a heavy ass expensive paperweight, and we don't want that. All right, stay tuned for some more updates. See you soon.